The Florida Gators are going to have to break some tendencies if they are going to beat the Miami Hurricanes tomorrow afternoon.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Friday. The season starts tomorrow. This is nuts. I'm Brandon Olsen. I'm on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. 5-hour energy fixes tired fast. I flew into Jacksonville, bought a 5-hour energy, drank it, drove to Gainesville, and that is how I made that trip with a whole bunch of nonsense with my rental car. But with zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. Go to 5hourenergy.com and use promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. Offers only valid until September 30th. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. And like I said, the Florida Gators need to break some tendencies tomorrow against the Miami Hurricanes in order to beat them, because I don't think you can go out there and do some of the same predictable things that you've done. I will say this. It wouldn't shock me if Russ Callaway was calling plays. It wouldn't at all. It would not shock me if Russ Callaway was going to be up there calling plays. He is the one that's expected to be in the booth offensively. Wouldn't shock me at all if Russ Callaway was calling plays tomorrow. I mean, whether or not that's a season-long thing wouldn't shock me at all. And even if he's not calling plays, trust me, I'm pretty confident that he had a heavy, significant input in the game plan. And that matters when we talk about breaking tendencies, because there are some coaches who they'll have whatever play they have. They'll have their tendencies wherever it may be. And it's not just a Billy Napier thing. It's not just any college coach thing. Coaches have tendencies. But when you're playing a big game, that tends to be when you break out. That tends to be when you break out the tendency breaker. It's like, oh, well, all season, every time we lined up in this specific formation, we ran toss to the right. Well, fake that toss and throw a bomb. Things like that. There's the story about, I think it was Greg Maddux, who he threw a fastball. It was like a blowout win. He threw a fastball to, I forgot who, but it was like a low and in fastball, raked it for a home run. The clip came out like 2 weeks ago on some interview. And then the catcher was like, why the hell did you throw that? We knew he'd send that. And he's like, well, because he's going to be looking for that pitch in the playoffs, and he's not going to get it, and it's going to throw him off. Things like that of just like, oh, we know what he's looking for. We know what they're looking for when they come out in this look, when they get this. We know what they're planning on doing. And Florida had that tendency that you can kind of tell what they were going to do last year. If they came out in pistol, it was significantly more likely that they were running the ball than throwing the ball. It was also significantly more likely if they came out in pistol that they were going to be in 12 personnel. So a lot of times you can go, okay, there's 2 tight ends on the field. We can expect pistol. We can expect a run. That's going to be pretty common for us. And if they came out in gun with 11 personnel, then you went, all right, they're in gun. They're probably going to throw the ball. They got 11 personnel. We're looking for the pass here. Every time that Graham Mertz rolls out, almost every time, it's going to be to the right side. That's not a Graham Mertz thing. Billy Napier, throughout his entire career, has rolled out his quarterback to their throwing side. Levi Lewis was lefty, threw it lefty. I believe it was Levi Lewis that was lefty. But when you had a lefty QB, you rolled him out to the left. When it's Graham, you rolled him out to the right. That was a thing that Billy Napier's always done, and that's fine. Like that's not a bad. Not all tendencies are bad. I want to make that one clear. But you break out the tendencies breakers in big games like this. There's personnel-based tendency. Like last year when Trevor Etienne was on the field, 40% of his offensive snaps ended with him running the ball. 40%. I feel like that's a very high number. I mean, Montrell was like 33, 34%. Like 40 is a lot. That means if he's on the field for 5 plays, he's running it for 2 of those. not running routes. He's running the ball there. And I feel like that kind of personnel tendency is another thing that Florida, you have to break against Miami. I think it's really important to not do what you've typically done. And I think that's why one of the reasons that Russ Callaway could be calling plays tomorrow. Again, I'm not saying it's a season-long thing. It wouldn't shock me if you went, hey, we're going to give you a go against Miami. And if it works, and if our offense plays well and performs, maybe we'll make it go for the whole season. But it wouldn't shock me at all if Russ Callaway was calling plays, because I think that's the ultimate tendency breaker is, hey, Billy Napier had a part in the game plan, but the adjustments, that's going to be Russ. That's going to be different. Things like that, I think, get overlooked frequently. And I think that breaking those tendencies is also important. Also, defensively, you have to break those tendencies. Defensively, when Florida blitzed last year, it was almost exclusively from the off-ball linebacker spot. And I've said before, I think part of that might be that their linebackers weren't good enough in coverage, so you couldn't blitz a slot, the nickel DB. You couldn't blitz him because that meant that you were leaving a linebacker in coverage, and that was a horrible decision, right? So it could be that. Ron Roberts also historically throughout his career has liked the nickel blitz, specifically Austin Armstrong, linebacker blitzer. You could break that tendency of being a linebacker blitzer by bringing in the Ron Roberts nickel. Like you can do a lot of, and I feel like far too often people talk about Austin Armstrong loving to blitz the corner. He really didn't do it that frequently. But when he did blitz, it was almost always an off-ball linebacker coming in. Break that tendency. It got really predictable because offenses could just go, hey, to the running back. They just go, hey, running back, just look at this linebacker. If we snap the ball and he runs in, pick him up. If not, leak out because he's the guy. It's not as simple as, we think it might be this guy based on it's as simple as Florida blitzed their linebackers almost exclusively last year. That was it. There was nobody else that was rushing the passer a ton from any off-ball spot other than linebacker. Break the tendencies. Become less predictable with things, even if it's something that you're really good at. Break a tendency. You got to give a new look, especially in a game where you are technically the underdog, even though I think a lot of Florida Gators fans don't feel that way. You are technically the underdog. Break a tendency against them. That's when you break tendencies. When you're expected to lose the game, that's when you do it. And for Florida, I think that you have to against Miami. I think that Miami's obviously expected to be a really good football team. You got game one. They've probably been prepping for what you showed them last year, especially with Billy Napier going, hey, I'm calling plays this season. Again, I don't know if I fully buy that. I said that when he said it, that I don't know if I fully buy it. And I still don't fully buy it. We'll see, I guess, tomorrow who's calling plays. But when Billy Napier said, I'm calling plays, I was like, I don't fully buy that. We'll see if it's Russ Callaway. And if it is Russ, then there's going to be probably some pretty significant differences between his play calling and Billy Napier's play calling. The system will still be the same. Scheme will still be the same. But play calling tendencies will be different, I think. And we could see that from Russ as the play caller. We could see Ron Roberts calling plays. It could be anybody up there, right? You've made significant changes to the coordinator positions, significant additions to the coordinator positions. Offensively, I need the Florida Gators to keep Graham Mertz clean. We'll talk about that next on Locked On Gators. Fuel up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. I've told you before, I eat Factor meals all the time. I carb cycle, so on days when I don't work out, I have to eat clean, keto Factor meals. That's exactly what I do. Head to factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50. Use code LockedOnCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code LockedOnCollege50 at factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is still active. With passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance with superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts to choose from. For your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your parts guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash for the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply, and eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Thanks for being Locked On Gators, your first listen of the day, every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. Like I said, I need the Florida Gators, by the way, tomorrow, 9:30, 10 a.m.-ish, Rights Union, live show, Locked On Gators, Locked On Canes, Brandon Olsen, Alex Dano. We're doing it. But like I said, I need Graham Mertz to stay upright in this game. Keep him relatively clean. Keep him upright. And I mean upright in the sense of I need him to not get sacked much. I expect him to get hit. I expect him to be under pressure. And honestly, I'm not overly concerned with that. Graham Mertz showed last year his ability to handle pressure and not force errors. Okay? By that I mean when he threw the ball, he was not throwing it into contested catch area. He was not forcing things where they shouldn't be forced. That's good of him, right? To not throw the ball into traffic just because you're under pressure. Good for Graham. However, this is probably the area where I think Graham Mertz can really take the next step and improve as a quarterback. I don't think Graham is going to take many more physical strides developmentally. I think he's relatively capped out. He's not going to all of a sudden get much faster. He's not going to all of a sudden start throwing the ball faster or further downfield. He could do that just by tendency of having a clean pocket and being able to step into it and throw there. But I mean, he's not going to be able to flick of the wrist 40 yards down the field. That's just not him, and that's fine. But one thing where he needs to improve for me personally, too often last year, he would take a sack that was just backbreaking. It would be 2nd and 4, and he takes a sack, and it's 3rd and 9, and now you're in an obvious passing situation. If it's 2nd and 4 and you throw it away, 3rd and 4 is still, hey, they might run it, and if they don't get it, they might go for it. You still have that threat. But far too often last year, Graham Mertz took just a backbreaking sack. Even on 1st down, it'd be, all right, well, now it's 2nd and 18, good luck. And then Billy Napier would run the ball and not get it. But that's where Graham can really take that next stride developmentally for me. Just throw the ball away, which he does need to throw the ball away more. In general, he needs to do that more. That's something that I know a lot of people will look at and say, oh, incompletion, bad. No. You lose the down, you don't lose any yardage. He needs to throw the ball away more. I need him to tuck and run quicker. Again, I'm not saying to all of a sudden be like, oh, hey, make a first read and run. But I am saying that when things start kind of crumbling, I need you to get downhill. I need you to go forward and try to run for a 1st down, try to pick up a couple of yards. We saw him do it at some points last year. He just didn't do it enough. We saw him do it. I mean, he got injured last year doing that. He ran the ball through a Missouri defender, handed the ball off the next play, and then went down wincing, grabbing his collarbone. We saw him do it against Utah. He scrambled. I believe he picked up the 1st down, fumbled the ball out of bounds, but picked up the 1st down with his legs. We need to see Graham do that when it's called for. Now, again, I'm not saying all the time. I'm not saying become Jaden Daniels, but I'm saying throw the ball away when nothing's there, even if it means throw it at your running back's feet so you don't get an intentional grounding. Just get rid of it. So throw the ball away when it's not there. Run the ball when it is there. You know, if they're playing man coverage and you've got a little bit of space, I don't care if you're picking up 3 or 4 yards. You're not losing yardage. Pick up a little bit. Like, again, that's something that, and I know it's going to be overlooked, but for me, that's something that would make Graham Mertz so much better than he is. Because he doesn't give you many negative plays. Not taking those sacks would basically eliminate most of the negative plays we've seen from him so far in a Gators uniform. He hasn't turned the ball over. He hasn't forced the ball into terrible coverage. He's done it a couple of times, but even then, most of the time, he's gotten away with it. Just stop taking those sacks, and you keep your offense way more on schedule than you already do. And I know it's easier said than done, but keep Hayden Hansen into pass block. One of the best pass blocking tight ends in the country last year. Keep him into pass block. I think he went something like 60 pass block reps before giving up a single pressure. I think it was the LSU game was when he gave up his first pressure. Like, that's pretty damn good for a guy that spent, I think it was 30% of his passing down, 33% of his passing down snaps in pass pro. A third of his passing down snaps, he's in pass protection, and it took him until, game 9 to give up a pressure? Keep Hayden Hansen into pass block. I've said before, I think that you put him on the side that Ruben Bain's on. And you just go, hey, man, like, if you want to come outside and rush, you're going to be rushing into a 6'8", 267-pound tight end. And if you want to rush inside, then try that rushing inside. But we're going to have Hayden on the outside and make you a little bit one-dimensional, which, of course, Ruben Bain will probably try the approach of run through an offensive tackle. He's been pretty good at that. I wouldn't hate it if you put Arliss Boardingham in the backfield and have him block. I'm not saying to put him as the lone back, but put him in the backfield and have him block. We saw him play some snaps as a fullback, kind of, in pistol. He was in next to Graham Mertz. Scored a touchdown on that, if I'm not mistaken. It was boot slide, so he just ran to the flat, caught it, was wide open. But I wouldn't hate putting Arliss back there and having him pass block or work on a block and release, something. But I do think that you're probably going to keep 6 blockers in a good amount. That's fine by me. If that's what Montrell Johnson is doing, if that's his main priority, if any of the other running backs have impressed you there, we've heard that Trayon Webb has been impressing in pass protection. Maybe he's the guy that gets the nod there. But keeping Graham upright is what's important. Again, I know earlier I was like, oh, keep him clean. Maybe not. He's going to get hit. He's going to get pressured. That's fine. But can't get the sacks. And I'm saying keep Graham upright because I don't care if that's Graham throwing it away, Graham running, keeping extra pass blockers in, running screens to negate the pass rush and just let them rush in and throw it right back. I don't care what it is. Keep Graham Mertz upright so that you're not losing yardage for no reason. That you're just essentially forcing yourself into a, hey, we're probably going to have to punt situation. Because Billy Napier has not shown that he's a guy where it's like, oh, 3rd and long, we're just going to throw a bomb. And if it's picked, we're going to count it as a punt. He's tended to run the ball there. So I need to see this offense keep Graham Mertz upright, keep you in a winnable position offensively. And I don't mean win the game. I mean win the down, down by down basis. Keep yourself in a winning position ahead of the sticks, which is also what I think Florida needs to keep Miami from doing. We'll talk about that next on Locked On Gators. I told you guys earlier that I drank a 5-hour energy today after my flight. I flew into Jacksonville, landed at 4-ish, was just gassed because I was up late last night working, getting things prepped for the show and for this weekend. And I could not sleep on the flight, which irritated me. The person next to me also irritated me, so that was fun. But I got off the flight, got a 5-hour energy, got my rental car, which was a nightmare, by the way. And then I drove to Gainesville. 5-hour energy helped me through it. I mean, look, I've told you before, I'm a caffeine guy. I need my caffeine. And with 0 sugar and a convenient portable, it's a shot. It's a shot. It's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5-hour energy website has flavors galore, like watermelon, tropical burst. Grape is my favorite. I had berry today. It was the only flavor available. Not bad. Not bad. Not as good as grape, but not bad. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that's the number 5hourenergy.com, and get some 5-hour energy product today, you can use our promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And like I said, I think it's important for the Florida Gators to stay ahead of the stakes offensively. I think it's important, especially in this game, to keep Miami behind the sticks offensively. And behind the sticks, I mean keeping them in obvious passing down situations. You need to win the early downs defensively if you're the Florida Gators. First off, it's important to win the early downs against a guy like Damian Martinez. Damian Martinez at Oregon State showed that when he gets a little bit of a rhythm going, he can be a bit of a handful to deal with defensively. He's a physical runner. He's got a lot of skill. He'd be in the NFL right now if he was eligible. He's just not eligible yet, but he'd be in the NFL right now. Damian Martinez is a damn good back. I think that keeping him away from building that momentum, he's just one of those runners where he could just keep going downhill and keep moving downhill. And again, just becomes a menace to deal with. Keep him out of a rhythm. Like if he comes onto the field and he runs the ball and first down, we'll say, you stop him, then they throw the ball because teams tend to do that in a 2nd and 8. Stop, I mean gain of 3 or less. Teams tend to throw the ball once they get to 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9. That's just, again, one of those statistically, that's the right decision to make. Analytically, that's the right decision to make. And so they tend to do that. Keep Miami in those situations where they have to throw the ball. I'm not saying that their passing attack is going to be bad, but I'm saying it's a lot easier to defend someone when you go, hey, we know they're throwing the football, or we're pretty confident they're throwing the football. We're going to worry about that more than worrying about the run, stopping the run. We're going to go, yep, whatever coverage you're calling, you put yourself in position to call whatever coverage you want to call on that 3rd down. You go, hey, 3rd and 7, we're going to go play just cover 2 man. Press you at the line, have help over top, rush 4, and just hope that we get to Cam Ward there. Or that he forces a throw into coverage where you've got 2 safeties over top. You give yourself that freedom. Also, I will say this. Would be nice to keep that offensive line from finding a rhythm going downhill. This is also their first game as a full offensive line with the new center. I think that that's very important, that center continuity. We saw some of it with Florida last year when they didn't have that center continuity, that there'd be constant little screw-ups that you were like, well, that probably shouldn't have happened, but it did because of the center changes. I think you win those early downs, keep Damian Martinez out of a rhythm, keep him from picking up this chunk play, keep him out of the rhythm. I'd imagine they would throw swings and screens to him to try to just get him the ball in space and try to just work there. But for Florida, I think winning those early downs keeps Cam Ward in what's a not impossible spot, but a difficult spot. And again, on paper, this is a Miami offense that can run the ball, can throw the ball, will protect their quarterback, will give rushing lanes to the running back, good receivers, not tight ends. Promising tight ends, I guess, but like I need to see it from Arroyo. I'm not just going to say he's good for no reason. So I need to see that. But every other spot isn't a true question mark, for me at least. I know that there are some people more skeptical of Cam Ward than I am. That's fine. I'm not going to fight you on it. But keeping an offense that can do both and kind of forcing them to just do one, that's a big advantage for you. And by that, I mean, compared to having to defend both. If you got them in 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, expect a passing play, right? If your idea is, hey, Cam Ward has struggled when teams have rushed 3 and just put 8 into coverage, and he tends to kind of make a mistake. That's when he makes mistakes. That's why with Alex Dono and the Locked On crossover yesterday, I said he has that little like the Caleb Williams in him of when he's given that time and nothing's there and also the run isn't there, they make mistakes. Caleb Williams did that all the time. Cam Ward did that as well at Washington State. He did that at Incarnate Ward. He does that. He could adapt. He could change, sure, but make him prove it, right? If your idea is, hey, we're going to sit in coverage with 8 in coverage and we're going to let him make a mistake, then let him make a mistake. If your idea is, hey, we're going to play press man, cover 0, blitz everybody else, and we're going to get pressure on him while he's covered, while the receivers are covered by our DBs, then do that. But give yourself the freedom of making that decision. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you have to play one specific, but give yourself the freedom of calling whatever coverage you call on what's considered your money down there. Because you win those early downs, Miami will throw the ball 3rd and long. 3rd and medium, 3rd and long, they will throw the ball. Like, that's what they should be doing, right? You went out into the portal, got yourself one of the highest ranking quarterbacks in the portal, got yourself a productive receiver from Houston in Sam Brown. You went out there and you got yourself Zach Carpenter at center. You went out there and you invested in things that will contribute to your passing attack, right? Passing situation, you should pass the ball. Give yourself that freedom of deciding what they're going to do. If you force them to 3rd and long, they're throwing the ball. That's fine. Make your decision of what kind of coverage you're going to play and how you're going to stop it. Win those early downs. Force Miami into tough spots and force them to punt early. Because we know Florida, I think they're going to run the ball a lot or go quick pass and just try to move the 6, dominate time of possession. I took the under in this game. No shock at all there. I think that we're going to see more unders early on in the season before Vegas adapts. But until then, I think we see unders. I think that you can force some punts, run the ball. And again, both teams are going to try to run the ball. Miami's going to try to run the ball as well, especially on early downs. Gives you less opportunities to make mistakes throwing the ball. Give you less opportunities to have any kind of wonky situation happen where we've seen it all the time in college football. Just stupid things happen because it's still college football here. These aren't professionals yet. So still just wonky things happen. Run the ball. They're low risk plays. That's what everybody wants to do, right? Keep the clock moving in a game that should be close and is a rivalry game. You're going to want to keep the ball on the ground, out of the way of making errors, right? Win those early downs, force them to throw it, force them to maybe make some mistakes in the air where their quarterback has had mistakes throwing the ball. Not a ton of them. More so when he tries to hero ball it. You could force him into trying to hero ball it. Again, rush 3, drop 8, and he tries to hero ball. That's when he screws it up. So Florida, win the early downs there. Keep Graham Mertz clean. Break your tendencies. Win the damn football game, please. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day, every day. We are available daily and free breakfast in the podcast and on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow live before the game with Alex Dono of Locked On Canes. That'll be at Wrights Union, 9:30, 10 a.m. And after the game, haven't decided yet how we're going to set that up. I might do it at the tailgate if we still got the space. Might have to come back to the Airbnb and do it there. But we will have a video coming out after this game. Win, lose, draw, I guess. We will have a video coming out for this game. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my Root Giants country, and I will see you all next time.